Good morning. In the Sidra of Bamidbar, we have a census taken amongst all the Jewish people, and the first couple of Aliyot are really devoted to the census and the taking of the census and the results of it, and that in fact is why the Latin or English name is the Book of Numbers, because of the censuses that take place during the book. The final total is that Israelite men between the ages of 20 and 60, there are 603,550. It's a fairly impressive number, leading us to conclude that there were between 2 to 3 million people in total as members of the nation at this time. But what's particularly interesting is that the very first census that was conducted after the deaths at the Golden Calf was the same number precisely, 603,550. So the sages want to know, why would two censuses, which were in fact 7 months apart, result in there being the exact same number? So we have two paths to explain it, that of Rashi and that of the Ramban. And Rashi says, essentially, it was the same number because it was a repeat of the same census. What do I mean? You have everyone measured 7 months apart. People should have become older. People should have died. People who are 59 would now have been 60 and out of the count. People who are 19 would now be 20. And there would be those who are no longer in the world. But Rashi says, no, there are really two ways to do a census to define age. You could do it the personal age of the individual. In other words, I was born on the 20th of December, and so, the 14th of Tishrei, and so when the 20th of December, the 14th of Tishrei roll around again, that is when it is my personal birthday. Another way to do it is to assign your age based on the year in which you were born without reference to your personal month. Whether you were born in January, whether you were born in December, you are a child of 1983. In fact, there is a system that gives you an age based on the year in which you were born, and that is school. You have year 12, year 13, year 14, right? Whatever it'll be, that's based on not your personal individual age, but the age of your year. And that, says Rashi, is what was happening in the desert, is that the Jewish people were measured, were counted according to their year. So it wasn't 20-year-olds, it was year 20s. It wasn't 59-year-olds, it was year 59ers. And therefore, even though 7 months later the census was done again and people personally had aged, since it was within that same calendar year, they were in fact counted as the same people. That's the approach of Rashi. The Ramban takes issue with this for a number of reasons. The first point that he makes is that he says that's not how we measure time. We don't make a census based on the year. We make it based on the person's individual age. Never in the Torah is age referenced as a global thing. It's a personal, individual thing. That, in fact, is the second objection. The first objection is, how could it be that nobody died? Even if you want to say there was no, so to speak, coming of age, nobody entering or leaving the bracket, how could it be that so many people, you have 600,000 people, that nobody died in 7 months? It's illogical. And therefore he concludes, he has another objection as well, by the way, based on the Levi'im, the Levites. He felt that the Levites were included in the first census and were excluded in the second census, so that alone should have created a discrepancy. Therefore the Ramban says there were a number of people who grew older, and it was based on personal age, not year. There were a number of people who entered, who turned 20 in those 7 months. And there are a number of people who passed away. But it just so happened, Irah Hadavar, the matter occurred that those entering ended up offsetting those who died, those who aged, and the Levi'im who were no longer in the count. So you had a great group of 19-year-olds. I was thinking to explain Rashi's view. How could it be that nobody died over 7 months? Perhaps we find in the Midrash in the Mechilta, chapter 20, verse 15, when it speaks about the giving of the Torah, it says that when it came to the giving of the Torah, the entire nation saw and they heard and they stood. And the Midrash asks, how could they see? Some of them were blind, surely. How could they hear? Surely some of them were deaf. How could they stand? Surely some of them had problems with their legs. And the Midrash concludes that there were no health problems at the giving of the Torah. Doesn't say why in that Midrash. I've heard that Hashem healed them miraculously. It's not in that Mechilta. But that at the time of the giving of the Torah, everyone was in perfect health. If that's the case, and if that wasn't reversed, at Mount Sinai, then after the golden calf, I beg your pardon, if that state of health continued, then perhaps it would answer the Ramban's question on Rashi. It would be no surprise that people continued, because why would Hashem have healed somebody's eyes but not healed the arteries of his heart? Hashem put everybody in perfect health. At Mount Sinai, we can expect that they will maintain that good health for at least another 7 months. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach.